Welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed podcast number 3. Honored and privileged to have with us today the newly elected city clerk of DeKalb, Mr. Brad Hoey, or Brad Hoey is often referred to him. Brad, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, TD. This is a great setup, and glad that that you've kind of found a place that suits you.
The wayward radio personality found a new home. Yes, we're very excited about that.
No, I'm excited. Guess number 3. Wow, I'm right up there in the top
right there.
5. That's pretty good. Following up the mayor.
Now, you're old as dirt like myself, Brad. I hope you don't mind me saying that.
Come on.
So you remember a gentleman named Donovan, and Donovan did a song called First There Is a Mountain, Then There Is No Mountain, and Then There Is. And I liken that to the city clerk position because first there is a city clerk, then there's not a city clerk, and now there is, and you are that person. So tell us about that, the city clerk position right now.
City clerk elect.
City clerk elect, that's right.
Election.
Pending certification, yes.
Certified, yes. But no, I'm very, very pleased with the outcome of the election. Obviously, during my campaign, throughout it, in the forums and interviews, and my platform was that I want to bring some continuity and respectability to the office of city clerk. It's arguably been a revolving door for the last decade or so. And, we need a little bit of stability there. And I'm very, very excited to be able to get a chance to work closely with Mayor Barnes, Mayor-elect Barnes.
Your ears should be burning because the mayor was in here last week and we were talking about you, as a matter of fact.
And City Manager Bill Nicholas, the City Council, and the great staff that we have over at City Hall. I've been able to work with those individuals over the years in a variety of different capacities, but probably most closely with in my role with the Citizens Community Enhancement Commission. I've been a part of that commission for over a decade, and I've been the chair for the past 4 years. So I'm intimately familiar with City Hall and with the folks that work there, and I'm excited to be more intimately involved in that group.
We should point out after Dolly the sheep, Brad was the second person to be cloned, and that's why we see him doing all these things. Now, let's talk about the numbers from the election. Again, these are unofficial, but you 2-1. I mean, combine the two opponents against you, you had twice as many votes as they did. What does that mean to you now to hear that? And these are write-in votes sometimes.
Exactly, and I think what's maybe more impressive than my vote count is the fact that more than 1,800 of our citizens went out and voted in this election, and as we were all write-in candidates. So I think that is an indication how important this election was to the citizens of DeKalb, and how much they wanted to or how much maybe my campaign resonated with the voters. And so, again, I'm extremely happy with the results, and I'm looking forward to jumping right in.
Well, congratulations again. And we're very excited to talk about you, how you view the position. But Brad Hoey, this is your life. Let's go back. Let's go back to a young Brad Hoey in your little knickers, right? You wore knickers back then, Brad. But tell us about you as a kid.
Well, I grew up in South Beloit, Illinois, which is right on the state line. I lived there until I was 12 or 13 years old. Actually, I was born in DeKalb.
Okay. Oh,
so,
really?
So, yeah, my folks went to NIU. They're alums like myself. My mother started teaching at Canelan and my father at Hinckley in the grade school down there. So they lived on South 5th Street when I was born. I was born in St. Mary's Hospital, the relic of which is not far from this location. So I drive by it every day. And I said, how many people get a chance to do that? I mean, a lot of people in DeKalb, obviously, can drive by 2 locations or 3 when you talk, or more when you talk that, hey, that's the building or the place that I was born in. But I didn't grow up here. We moved not long after I was born to my parents' hometown, which was South Beloit, and so attended school there. We moved in 75, and so I attended 8th grade in my high school years at Rockton Hononegah, where my dad was a coach and physical education teacher and athletic director.
Oh, is there? My father was as well. Boy, nothing
so
better.
Kindred souls. I knew we had a lot in common, TD, besides our media careers. But
and of course, you were a star athlete in 8th grade, as I was. I'm making that part
in my own mind. Well,
what was it like having the old man as a coach? Because we have that right here with Sean Reynolds what a career Sean Reynolds had at DeKalb High School, and 4 years getting coached by his dad. Pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I had him for 1 year. He was my freshman football coach, and he was a great coach. I was very, very fortunate. Obviously, learned a lot from him, not just about how to be an athlete or a student athlete, but how to be a leader. And I was incredibly fortunate to have wonderful parents who were respected in their community, but also respected by their students. And I witnessed that when I was growing up, and I witnessed as I became an adult. Sometimes you don't get a chance to actually see that.
Yeah.
And so they made a huge impact on me, but the impact that they made on others made a huge impact on me. And I think that's kind of stuck with me and formulated me into the person and the career that I've engaged in over the years.
And of course, all that time you spent on the bench, where you do a lot of time where they caught Brad doing play-by-play over there on the bench.
Well, that's how I started.
Tell us about how that started.
Yeah, that was one thing that I really wanted to do. And in fact, I started doing it as a young kid. We got a tape recorder, and I think maybe when I was 11 or 12 years old. And I remember turning down the volume on the television, doing NBA games and college games. And I thought, well, if the whole professional athletic career doesn't turn out, and it was pretty obvious that wasn't going to turn
Good
out.
that you had a plan B. That's good.
Before I got, whiskers and stuff. But and I was a decent athlete, but I was never going to be anything beyond maybe an intramural king. So I pursued the play-by-play and radio in college. I was able to.
I got to ask what you did with those tapes. Now, did you make a tape when you were done? Do you still have them?
I still have them.
That's great.
Yeah, I still have them. They're on wire, but
Okay.
no. But I do have.
That's awesome.
I have
That's
a lot of my air checks from college, even.
Okay.
And several from my days when I worked at WRHL in Rochelle, and I also worked at WLUV in Loves Park. And so I was the voice of the McChesney Park Huskies for a few years, and it was a great great training for me. I loved my opportunity when I first started doing some play-by-play for the student station, the old WKDI in DeKalb and NIU, and was able to call some great Husky games with some legends. Alan Rayhorn, Hall of Famer, lived on my floor. So
Wow.
Brad Waller is a good friend of mine and has been for a long, long time. So those were some heady days and a great opportunity. And was mentored by the folks of like Mike Korsick, and before him, Bud Nagel and Steve Nemeth. I'm throwing out a lot of names here.
Oh, yeah.
But
Mike Korsick, if there's anything you need to know about NIU,
Yeah.
just call Mike Korsick, right?
Yeah. So, but a lot of fun. I didn't get a chance to do it for a long time because I wanted to get involved in television, and so I ended up shortly after college, about the same time that I was doing play-by-play. Got a job at WIFR in Rockford. So I started off in production, but shortly afterwards ended up getting into the newsroom, and I established a news bureau in southern Wisconsin located in Janesville.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I did that for about a year. I was a one-man band up there, but what a great experience that was.
We had a summer cottage in Delavan. So again, we were right there by you too.
Absolutely.
So to me, that's the dream job. Why would you ever stop doing that?
Well, you probably know why. It was there wasn't a lot of pay associated
yes.
with that role, and I did not. I thought that was something I was going to do my entire life.
Sure.
And when I had the opportunity to come to NIU and produce a coach's show and do some other things here, that seemed like a really nice move because I had a chance to go to my alma mater and do the things that I had been doing, be a sports journalist, but also do some public relations and marketing. And that was great fun. Again, starting off, the pay wasn't terrific. You don't make a lot of money in working for the university.
When I first got into radio, they told me that 10% of the people make 90% of the money. And you can see that.
Absolutely. And of course, you have to go to larger markets and stuff. But it's
Right.
the labor of love. I mean, you've done it for decades, and I worked in the media business for a long time, and absolutely loved it. And it kind of it provides you with an opportunity to meet a lot of very interesting people, but also get involved in a lot of different things, not only within your local community, but all over the region, and in my case, even nationally. So that was a great opportunity for me. I worked at NIU for 30 years on the production side for 20 of those 30 years, and then I got into university administration. So, and that's a whole nother story.
Now, you said something interesting earlier, because you so seldom do. That's why I paid attention. No, I'm kidding. But you mentioned that your mom and dad taught you to be a leader, and I think you and I both went through the Leadership Academy here in DeKalb. And one of the questions I had when I first started that class was, are you a born leader or can you become a leader? And obviously your parents taught you to become a leader.
Well, I had a chance to not only learn from them, but learn from others as well. And some of them were my peers, some individuals who might have been a little bit older than me that I looked up to. And I think being involved in athletics really helped that as well. I mean, I oftentimes was the captain of our team, and I liked that role. I liked being able to step up, and I wanted to be the person that would have to shoot the big free throw or take the big shot, or at least pass the ball and not do a turnover, because I like to think that I was more of a facilitator than a scorer. And it seems like that's kind of the way that I am, right now, or have been in my career. And
that was also true when he went out to the bars at night. He was more of a facilitator than a scorer. We should point that out. We're keeping it light here. We're talking with Brad.
Hey, let's keep that private. No.
We're talking to the new DeKalb City Clerk of DeKalb, pending certification, which will be certified by the time people are hearing this. But Brad, again, I didn't congratulate you on your victory, so thank you for that. But let's talk about your time now at the DeKalb County Convention and Visitors Bureau, which I love the fact that you guys simplified that title. But tell us about your time there, and why'd you do that after working so hard at NIU?
That's a good question. My joke, you've heard it many times. I continue to fail at retirement, and now in this new role, it's even more of a failure. But it's I'll tell you what, I'm loving life. This is the best of both worlds. I worked 30 years at NIU. I retired 5 years ago. My association with the Convention and Visitors Bureau goes back maybe 15 years or more. I was able to get on the board, I think maybe in 2011, around the same time that we were making the pitch to be able to host the IHSA State Football Championships. So I was representing NIU in that role. I was on the board for about 10 years and served as the chair of the board for 4 of those years. And once I was the chair when we hired Courtney Strohacker, who's our current executive director of the DCCVB.
She has a great radio voice.
Courtney's down like this. Yeah, maybe the best hire I ever made in my life.
I believe that.
She's wonderful, and we both hired Catherine McLaughlin, who is our marketing director, and then we also have Alexis Avalets, who works for us, as well as the DeKalb Chamber. So, and Stacy Canova. I forgot about Stacy. She helps us out as well. So we have a great team. We call it a family, and I'm just fortunate that after I was done with my time on the board, it kind of coincided with the time that I had retired at NIU. I'm able to work there in a part-time capacity and bring some of my experience and skill set into the travel and tourism and attractions while I'm here in the county. So, everybody called me for years and years, NIU's biggest cheerleader. Well, now I still can remain as a big cheerleader for NIU, but I'm a cheerleader for all of DeKalb County. And we have a lot of things to cheer about. So yeah. I'm really excited about that.
Never had to put your pom-poms down.
No. That's great. No, in fact, I got some fresh ones now.
All right, so let's talk. While we're talking about the DeKalb County Convention and Visitors Bureau, they got a mac and cheese madness, like a brackets going on. Now, I was kind of glancing at it before the year, but tell us about that. We have a winner, do we?
We have a winner, yes. Well, it kind of coincided with the end of the...
Let me mention the runners-up, though. We had the Bull Moose Sandwich. We had the Good Times Grill in Hinckley. Tom and Jerry's Catering by Diane. And Roasted Rooster Sandwich.
Yeah, so it was Bull Moose won, and so congratulations to them. And and it's it was the idea behind it. We started this 2 years ago with a pizza challenge, and then last year was a burger challenge. and this year was mac and cheese. And it's really to highlight the great restaurants that we have all throughout the county. And you can see by some of the names that you listed as the folks that took place in that and made it through some of the final rounds. They come from all over.
Yeah.
And it's, again, a lot of fun. A lot of people, vote, which makes that even fun. And then, of course, it's kind of coincides with the men's and women's NCAA basketball tournaments. And so really, really excited to do that for a third year. And we'll see what next year brings us. We have to figure out dishes. That's the biggest challenge every year. Okay, what are we going to highlight this year? But kudos to everybody that got involved and who voted. And again, congratulations to Bull Moose.
Well, I hate to admit it, but I'm still a Kraft macaroni and cheese guy. With yellow dye, be damned. I don't care. I still love the Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Now you have an opportunity to expand your horizons, TD. There's a lot of options out there in DeKalb County.
We're talking to newly elected DeKalb City Clerk Brad Hoey, pending certification. And another thing that you've got the International Tourism Grant. And I want to tell you, I was watching the History Channel this week, and there was a whole thing on Joseph Glidden, very cool, about barbed wire and how barbed wire saved the United States. But at the end of the report, they said the barbed wire capital is La Crosse, Kansas, where they also have a barbed wire museum. Do you know of this, Brad, and what's going on with this?
Well, I do know about that. I not necessarily think that is the barbed wire. They do.
Where do they get off?
Well, they have a dedicated museum.
Right.
I mean, and so
we have a museum.
We do too, but it's really more for Elwood House. So it's history of DeKalb County. Barbed wire is prominently featured. We have the Glidden Homestead, obviously. So we all know we're the true capital or home of barbed wire. I mean, you're wearing a DeKalb Barb's hoodie here. So I mean. And we just had a wonderful barbed wire weekend last fall, and kudos to Jesse and the folks at the homestead for putting on a great event. And I think there's going to be a celebration, maybe not that big, but I know they're going to have a dinner there, an annual dinner now, which will help as a fundraising campaign. But again, it's another opportunity to highlight some of the history that we have within our community. Yeah. And when you talk about the international grant, that's something that we received, the CBB received through the state of Illinois. And it's a reflection of, the prominence that we have at NIU with our international students, but also our ability to attract international visitors to the community. And we're one of 11 communities within the state to receive that grant. We are investing in some mobile digital kiosks, 2 of which will be located at NIU, where a lot of our international students and international faculty and visitors come into our community. Yeah. But we'll also have one at the airport, and we'll be able to move that to various areas. And I'm particularly excited that we're able to move forward with that grant. We finally got I think the money finally came, which is exciting. We've been waiting for that. But we have to match it. So, we get some money and then our organization matches it. Right. So, but with the celebration, we're at the cusp of the 250th anniversary of the Revolution or the Declaration of Independence. DeKalb is going to be very much involved in that. DeKalb County is very much involved with it. There's the Illinois America 250 Coalition, of which the DeKalb County History Center is a sponsor of that. So DeKalb County, with its history, not only with barbed wire, but with so many other things, including the fact, kind of the obvious thing, is we're named after a Revolutionary War hero. That's right. And Baron DeKalb. Baron von DeKalb. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we have going on that we'll be celebrating that over the next year or so. But we're excited about the international grant because I believe we'll have some travelers coming in from all over the country and maybe all over the world to visit our community. The Lincoln Highway will be promoting that. The state of Illinois is promoting Route 66. 2026 will be the 100th anniversary of Route 66. So there is a huge amount of investment that the state is making in tourism. We're going to kind of piggyback off of that with the Lincoln Highway. The Route 66 might be the mother road, but the Lincoln Highway is the father road. And we all know this locally, the first seedly mile, the first paved section of the Lincoln Highway, which goes from one coast to the other, is in Malta. So we have a bit of history that nobody else has.
Just to ride on that 1 mile of the road, right? They go there just to drive down that 1 mile of paved road.
And there are people that do that. And so this is just another opportunity to be able to welcome folks into our community, welcome into the county, explore what we have to offer, and hey, who knows? Maybe they like what they see and they settle here.
Now, a couple of years back, I'm afraid to admit that Cohen Barnes didn't know who our sister city is, and I think it was I believe it was in Ukraine. Do you know who our sister city is, or do we have a sister city? Maybe
well, I believe that we do.
I
don't think I don't think it's Kyiv.
It was I don't remember what it was because it was.
It's a smaller city.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not a small city. I mean, I think it's bigger than DeKalb. I think it's bigger than all of DeKalb County, but I cannot recall at the top.
Okay,
of my
well,
head.
I will look into that. I will look into
me.
All right, now the $1 million question, the $64,000 question. Ethan would know that, a younger guy here, but we know about the $64,000 question. And that is the city clerk position. It has no pay. I don't know if you know this, Brad. I hate to break this to you, but there's no salary. So first of all,
man.
Well, why would you run for a position that has no salary, no office, no responsibilities of right now? Why would you do that?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I've had a lot of different roles, commissions, committees, boards.
And we thank you for that.
And never been paid for those. Now,
Okay.
now I'm an employee for the DeKalb County Convention and Visitors Bureau, so I am getting paid for that. But when I was on the board for those 10 years or so, I was not paid. So that's not and has not been an issue for me. And again, that's at the discretion of the leadership of the city of DeKalb. That hand was forced by some of the issues that we've had in that office, particularly trying to keep somebody in there. And
let's talk about some of those issues, because the person before you was not keeping the notes. They were editorializing during the notes, not showing up for meetings. And then previously there was another person who was unable to complete the responsibilities of the city clerk. So it was a tough situation. And so we can't just keep repeating this, right?
Correct. And I think, the city had to take extraordinary measures to be able to make sure that the business of the city got done. And that's the main responsibility of the city clerk. It's to keep historical record. It's to maintain historical record. And it's also, you maintain the city seal, and there's other responsibilities associated with that. We have a great team over there that's done a good job. There has not been any issues. There has not been any controversies, to my knowledge, since the previous elected clerk was removed from that office. And it's my intention to be able to continue the good work that the city is doing in that capacity. And TD,
were you surprised the vote before this, when we voted to keep this an elected position, even though at that point it was almost eliminated?
I don't know if I would use the term surprised. There's been 3 referendums, and all 3 have, I think, not passed decisively.
Now, how do you account for that? Do people feel that position is so important that it should be an elected position?
Well, if you look at the vote, that's an indication that people do feel it. It's important. If you look at the number of people that voted in the clerk race, I think they do feel that is important. I think one thing we have to do, there's a lot of communities all over the state and in the country that have moved to an appointed position for the clerk responsibilities.
But Brad, let's just look down the street to Sycamore. Sycamore had the exact same scenario where they decided to keep the position elected, and they have somebody in that position that they're very happy with. So that's a little different than DeKalb, but here's the exact same scenario happening right down the road from us. Correct.
So I think the voters have spoken. And I think what we need to do is to make sure that, one, the clerk position and the responsibilities get done effectively and get done efficiently. Do the work of the city and do it effectively and efficiently. And
do you consider that a watchdog position?
I will not call it a watchdog position. I think there are checks and balances in city government. You are taking a quote from a forum that I had with my opponents.
You are correct,
and
sir.
I do know that one of my opponents, and maybe perhaps both of them, feel that is the case. The duties of clerk are very specific. I have not seen watchdog in the description of the duties of city clerk
Okay.
anywhere. And so I think that do the job. And if you can bring other things to the table that are of an asset to the community, I think that's what the electorate wants you to do and expects you to do. And that's what I'm going to do. We've talked a little bit about my experience and my background and the skill set that I have. I believe those are assets to this community. I believe I've been an asset to the community in other capacities. Well, now I'm an elected official. So I will bring a unique skill set and assets that perhaps other clerks did not have. And I plan to work with the leadership and with the city staff to make sure that hopefully we can utilize that skill and experience that I possess.
All right, let me play the devil's advocate a little bit here too, because now here, as a citizen of DeKalb, and I know many people I talk to, we watched this whole thing inspire, and we realized that for the last few months, we've gone without a city clerk, and things are getting done, apparently, and to a good enough way. So here you come in with the new position, and you have the title, but I talked to Mayor Cohen Barnes here last week. He has said he had no idea what the position will entail. He says you have no office at all. We talked about the fact that you have no pay. So are you essentially creating this position yourself?
I don't think you can do that. I think that...
Well, I didn't think so either,
Yeah,
but according
yeah,
to the mayor, he said, we'll figure out what the position looks like.
Well, we will, what's called the mayor and city manager Nicholas and I have already had some informal conversations. So again, I think there are roles and responsibilities within the description of city clerk that I will fulfill. And I think there might be some other opportunities.
Can you give us a
within
for
that
instance
role.
right now? Because again, we know you won't be keeping city minutes, right? You won't be doing some of the other things that traditionally the city clerk did.
Well, I would imagine one thing in particular that I would do would certainly swear in new officials, and I would more than likely will also have the responsibility of at least maintaining the city seal, or at least that would be one of my.
Now tell us about that, because many of us, we picture the seal like a presidential seal,
Yeah.
kept in a gold chalice or something. But what is it? Is there an actual seal, and will you actually have physical possession of that?
Well, there is a seal. There is actual. And the clerk itself, I would say, you don't have physical possession of it. You are the, I guess, the custodian of that. Would
Okay.
probably be the best description of it. The custodian of that seal, and of course, when you have official documents and agreements and contracts, that's where the seal gets applied. Just like you might have at any business. So again, it's within the description of the city clerk. That's part of the position that's in the statute with the state of Illinois for city clerk. So again, those responsibilities had to be assigned to other people.
Right.
Now that we have I'm the clerk elect, I would assume, or I am prepared, let's put it that way, to assume that responsibility. And again,
And
those are some
what
things
about
that we
keeping
talk
the
about.
minutes for the meetings? Do you want that responsibility back?
If we're going to do that, absolutely, I can do that.
Okay.
I mean, that's certainly
you're
in my
fine either way with
skill set. I'm fine either way. Yep, I'm absolutely fine either way. I mean, that's somewhat of an expectation of that role. We do have that assigned to other people. It'll be at the discretion of the city leadership as to whether I will be ultimately responsible for that. So we will cross that bridge when the vote is certified. But I've already started having, and when I say started, I mean it's been a mutual conversation between the city leadership. So those will be some additional conversations that we have in the weeks ahead.
And as you come up with more responsibilities for the DeKalb City Clerk position, will that go before the city council then? That have to be approved for each responsibility that you'll be taking?
Well, I don't know. It depends on what those responsibilities might be. And maybe a term role would be a better description of that, because I think there's some things that you can do when you're as an elected official that again can be an asset just from a knowledge base. Obviously I have expertise in travel and tourism. I have some expertise in communications area. So I think those are some skill sets that I can help the individuals who are in those roles. I'm not going to say that I'm going to assume those roles. I mean, that's not the expectation of the clerk. Right. But to have somebody with a unique set of skills and knowledge and background, I believe can be a great asset, particularly in the area of communication, where I have an extensive background and experience.
And just to give us a rough time frame, Brad, what's that going to look like now? You said it's not been certified yet, so you're really not officially in office. But what kind of time frame do you see getting the city clerk position in DeKalb established, and we know what the responsibilities are for that position?
Well, I think it will be a matter of weeks, and it could be a few months. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to any individual who's elected official to kind of get the lay of the land. I'm fortunate that I am familiar with City Hall. I'm familiar with the individuals there, and I'm familiar with the roles. So it could be a little bit quicker than others. But again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And I look forward to those conversations, and I look forward to putting in the time and doing the job.
And do you want the feedback from the community? Do you want their ideas about what the city clerk should be doing?
No, I think we've already heard that.
That goes without saying.
Yeah, I mean, and I can assure you, we will continue to hear it.
All right, now we always like to end on a positive. Now we got two, actually, as a matter of fact. Well, there's several in DeKalb, but you mentioned before the city of DeKalb. Tell us about that, the initiative there at the Lincoln and 7th Highway to build another mural there.
I'm glad you brought that. I kind of started alluding to it a little bit a few minutes ago, but as part of the Citizens Community Enhancement Commission, we have a public art initiative that we started several years ago, and we created some really nice murals during that time. We were able to get a very significant grant through T-Mobile. That was a $50,000 grant that we received in 2023. Most of the money from that grant is completely exhausted, but there is a little bit left. But we've received some other grants as well. So when the mural that was placed there maybe 15 or 20 years ago fell down.
Kind of fell down.
It actually fell, literally fell down, and that was about this time last year. I know it happened in the spring, might be closer to May. And unfortunately, it was damaged beyond repair. I mean, I'm a big history person. I love the Lincoln Highway. I love the history of it and the fact that, we celebrate it in this community. You can see the markers, just east of the downtown core on Lincoln Highway. So I've really tried to impart upon the city leadership that we need to have maintain that legacy and that theme for that spot. And fortunately, the city.
Ironically, it was an old car, and then the old car crashed.
Yeah, onto another car. onto another car. That's a whole other story. But but I'm excited that we're going to move forward with that initiative. The building owner says we could use that entire wall that's facing east as the canvas. So instead of maybe that one area that was featured, we could potentially use the entire wall. Oh. The city has come up with some matching funds, so I think we have a decent budget to start off with, and we have a call to artists that is out there, and we're getting some responses. That will be that call to artists will expire next month on May 11th. So
they're like Batman. You have like a big paintbrush up on the. It's all artists.
It's Barbie Crow.
Barbie Crow, bring it. And of course, the last thing we want to mention, this is a great country that we live in, as we're talking here with freedom of speech and 250 years of America. We forget, Brad, that it's still an experiment. We're still taking one step at a time in America. But you and I know, and the other person in this room, that it is the greatest country in the world. And to be able to celebrate 250 years, and when you look back at what we've been through as a country, it's pretty amazing.
It's kind of snuck up on us, didn't it?
Yes.
I mean, you and I will remember, because we were just wee lads back in those days, the bicentennial. And there was a lot going on, and that was a big deal.
I remember the old ships coming in.
And the spirit of 76, so, but now we're talking 2026. The number is, but it is, it's 250 years, and I'm excited that the country is embracing this, our nation is embracing it, but the fact that there's an opportunity for communities throughout DeKalb County, throughout Illinois, and all over the country to get involved in the celebration. So it's still very much in its infancy as far as what kind of celebration or celebrations that we will have here in DeKalb and DeKalb County. But this mural will be one way to celebrate it. We're going to put out here next week, or what's today, Thursday? Yeah, probably early next week, a press release associated with our Paint a Plug program that's been going on for
I just drove by
7
some
years
lovely
now.
cows on the fire plug by the house.
So we're going to try to wrap the Illinois America 250 initiative into that as well. So hopefully we'll have some historic and patriotic displays from our artists with the Paint a Plug. And of course, we're still continuing with the utility box artwork as well.
Seen those as well?
So I'm extremely excited that these programs, these initiatives have resonated with our residents. We have a lot of talented people, as you know, in this community.
He was looking at me when he said that.
Well, I was looking at Ethan out of the corner of my eye. My eyes can do that. So, but again, not only with the with murals and sculptures, but also with the performing arts and music, and so
Brad,
I think it'll be a combination of those things that we'll do for the 250th anniversary.
People used to call America the melting pot, which is a great. But I heard somebody describe it as a tossed salad because everything stays as is, but it's all tossed together. And I think you mentioned NIU, and of course, I remember. I don't know if they still do it. Did they still do the parade of flags where they had all the different countries that are represented at NIU, and it was like over 100 flags.
Yeah, I think they do. I'll have to check with our international studies program, but that was great fun. I mean, I attended a number of those over the years, and it really gives you some perspective on how many international students and how many countries are represented among our student body at Northern Illinois University. It's a great, and part of that is because we are a state public research university, and we have outstanding programs and faculty that attract students from all over the world. So, I'm going to have to check that out,
right,
because that was something that was done during my entire time at NIU, and I'm sure it's still a tradition, but it's really a cool one. If people have an opportunity to attend that, I would recommend it.
Well, Brad, you can always tell your friends you were podcast number 3 on the TD Ryan Unleashed program.
Yeah.
That'll be the highlight of your career. But I want to thank Ethan Davis for getting you to come in here. And again, want to congratulate you again on your new position. We're really, as a DeKalbian myself, I am just thrilled and honored that you would take this position, Brad, with all the adversity that is around it, and try to make it better. And promise me in 4 years, I'll be able to yell, 4 more years, 4 more years.
As I've told people, my intent is to serve all 4 years, and I plan to do that, God willing.
All right, 4 more years, 4 more years. And that's Brad Hoey, the DeKalb County City Clerk-elect, on our guest here on podcast number 4, TD Ryan Unleashed.